Hi, welcome to the Nobodies Project. This is where I interview artists across all different mediums about their creative process, how they started, maybe where they're going, maybe their favorite project, maybe their least favorite project, their biggest rut, how they stay creative. And bigger than that, this is a community. So we want you to be involved. We want you to submit your artwork to us, and you can do that at submit@thenobodiesproject.com. You can send us an email, and we promise to give you honest, real feedback because we think everybody deserves it. And that feedback isn't just going to come from us at the Nobodies Project, it's also going to come from the featured artists that you see on our website and in this episode. This week we have a good friend of mine, one of the first people I interviewed way back when, and it's Bradley Heathman. He is a ridiculously talented musician, but also helps doing some producing and audio on the Nobodies Project. He's always super helpful. He is the most positive energy person, and I love having him around. Please go see him live if you want to see somebody pursue their passion and see somebody do something they absolutely love. Go watch this. But in the meantime, listen to this podcast. All right. Hi, Brad.
What up, Marky?
So this
Brad.
is... Yeah, I'm going with Brad. I know. I usually go full Bradley.
No, it's so interesting because everyone from Crevasse will call me Brad, and everyone
now I call you Bradley, and it's...
You did have the induction ceremony, so I'll allow it. You had the loco burrito, you know.
Oh my God, that was delicious. Well, first off, thank you for being here. I'm going to cheers you before.
Yeah, cheers, my man.
We're not drinking Great Notion beer, but we are having Great Notion soda with some rum, and it's very tasty.
It is so good.
But this is Talking to Nobodies. Welcome back. I think this was probably episode 3 or 2 or 4 or 8. And today we're joined by Bradley Heathman.
Yes, sir.
I think that's the first person's last name that I've remembered. He's a musician, part of the band Makeshift Casual, and his own solo project, Cam Nitro, and also just a delightful human that I've met during my time working in Portland. But yeah, that's enough about my little intro. We'll get to know you as much as we can with the first question that I like to ask people: what do you do for money? And then what do you do for art?
What I do for money, I work at a warehouse shipping and logistics startup with Jake, as you know, great guy,
Co-worker of both of ours.
Yes, a lot of fun. And I just do some HR stuff for them, some account management. Yeah, that is what I do for money. And what was the second part of that?
The second part is the more interesting part. What do you do for your art? Like, what would you consider your art?
My art is making noises. Yeah, for people, mostly for myself, actually. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Like, I make these noises just to satisfy that urge in me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I play the guitar, specifically this one. This is the Queen, named after, Queen Bee, and no, not Beyonce. It's Blair from Gossip Girl.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
So besides Gossip Girl as inspiration, where else do you get a lot of your inspiration? This is fun because I know a lot of these answers, but I'm interested to see how you answer them on a podcast.
So for me, the number one is Van Halen. This is also a vintage actual 1984 tour shirt.
Love it. It's the year I was born.
Yep. Yeah, I got the VH tattoo on my arm day I turned 18. I knew just ever since I heard Eruption on the radio that this is the thing I want to do. Just amazing guitar solo.
I was going to say, is this something, being a musician, a guitar player, also singer, when did you know, like, was it listening to Van Halen for the first time? Take me through when you went, I want to be a musician. And have you ever strayed away from it? Have you ever said, maybe I don't, maybe I want to be something else? Or is it just a calling?
All right. This is a fun one.
We're getting into it now.
The very beginning, I just loved playing baseball. It was like what I based like my identity around. And, I was all right. I dipped my arm when I pitched. So actually the slowest pitcher on the team and in the league. And, I loved playing baseball. It was fun. I could take out like my aggression. I felt like I could express myself in that sport. And it was after winter conditioning camp in the 7th grade. We just got out of OSU's facility because they were putting on a camp for middle schoolers. My dad picked me up in his 91 F-150, and the second he started the car, Eddie Van Halen's Eruption solo came on. So it was like perfect timing. And my dad said, we're just going to sit here and listen to this. Like, listen to this, son. Just cranked it up. And the best way to describe it, that I've described it 1,000 times over, it's like the radio held a gun to my head and red, white, and black stripes fell out the other side. Like, it was, I felt like I was transcending. Like, aside from actually, like, finding my own faith, that is the closest thing I've had to a religious experience by far.
Wow.
It completely changed me. And
I love that.
It went into You Really Got Me, which was just this cover of the Kinks. So much rawness and swagger that I was just like, I want to do that.
Right. Was it always for example, I watched soccer growing up, or even basketball was my thing as well. And I watched the really, really good players, and I watched the highlights, and it's like, I want to be that. Was that kind of how it was, or was it a natural calling to music? Or was it a calling to be like a rock star? That's what started the foundation.
I'd say what started the foundation was Guitar Hero.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I loved it.
When I beat Through the Fire and Flames on Expert, I ran downstairs, told my dad, and he's just like, whatever. And then I got 100% on Train Kept a Rolling on Guitar Hero Aerosmith, one of the harder songs. And he was just like, if you want to impress me, learn it on the real thing. And I was like, we don't have an electric guitar. Sure enough, my dad actually played in a Navy band. He had an electric guitar, told me to learn it. And that was actually like the first song I learned. It wasn't like Wild Thing or some kind of...
Was your dad like a proficient guitar player?
No.
But he was a casual guitar player?
Yes.
He can play guitar?
Not really anymore, no. No. But I remember like the first riff I ever learned, and like the first song was like...
Sure.
And that's not a traditional thing for a beginner to learn. Usually it's just like you learn a chord.
Right.
But surprisingly, what Guitar Hero transferred over was just like this picking articulation.
Yeah. Because you cannot... I myself have beat almost every song, not Through the Fire and the Flames. I think that's a bit too intense. But almost every song on Expert and Guitar Hero, right? Mm-hmm. I was no, master. But you really start understanding how to play when you start getting the picking rhythm, at least the game, because I have dabbled in playing guitar. I sucked at it. I was somebody who just did tabs and was like, I can figure out how to play through tabs.
There's nothing wrong with that. So many people rip on tabs, and they're helpful.
Yeah, but I could never get down chords. So I could only play things that were like picked, and I could never use a pick. I was terrible. I was only a finger plucker.
Nothing wrong with that either.
I know, but
so many
I didn't have the dedication to really go for it. So how you learn guitar, obviously Guitar Hero helped. Did you ever take lessons? Are you self-taught?
YouTube,
Yeah,
and
amazing.
Just listening. I really, over the past few years, just wanted to train my ear and just figure out where things are. It's been really helpful.
Yeah, I was going to ask, is that something you had to train, or is that something that naturally... Because I have a couple buddies who can listen to a song and just play it on piano.
I can't do that. I can probably map out what key it's in and then kind of figure it out from there, because I have...
Like, break it down.
A decent understanding of, like, I don't know, like the Nashville number system. Like, oh, this is the 1 chord. This one's the 4 chord. So I just kind of, like, cheese my way through it. That's the best way to describe it, because I still can't read music, and I have no intention of learning how, just because I don't know, I feel like I know what to do.
Right. Yeah, so do you think it's a natural thing or a taught thing? Or you learn so much through YouTube, all that stuff, that now it just comes naturally?
I feel like now it comes a lot more naturally.
So say you were starting from square one, right? You heard Eddie Van Halen's, what was the song? Eruption, the solo of Eruption today. How long do you think it would take to get you to where you are now?
Realistically, if I practice more, like probably a lot quicker because I haven't.
But with adult life?
With adult life?
Yeah.
Do I still have the same passion for it that I did back then?
Yes. No, you have the same passion that you have right now.
Oh, it'd be so much quicker.
Well, would it be?
Yeah.
Oh, that's good to hear.
Yeah.
For some reason, I think that makes me feel good.
Well, no, and a big thing, especially with electric guitar, is, or even acoustic, what puts off a lot of beginners is the guitars are just poorly set up. So
Yeah.
you have to go in, make sure like you want lower action, some lighter strings, and the guitar will literally be easier to play.
Yeah.
Bar chords aren't that scary, people. They're not. Just get a setup, and it'll help tremendously.
Yeah, I feel like I would have benefited largely from Reddit and YouTube, because when I was learning, I was like middle school, and like YouTube was a thing, but it wasn't like a thing like it is now, where you can Google almost any popular song and you can find somebody who'll teach you how to play it.
Yeah.
So diving into like how you make your music, do you write a lot of your songs yourself, or are you more, I'm just going to focus on guitar or other instruments? Like, take me through your song creation process.
I am I'm a sound memo guy, or like, what is it, like the voice memos?
Yeah.
If I have something, I'll whisper it into my phone or hum it, whatever, and I'll usually like revisit it. And now that I'm more proficient with instruments, like I'll map it out, like maybe on like a MIDI keyboard, or sometimes I'm like, oh, this is an acousticy thing, I'll grab my acoustic, or if it's bass that comes first, I'll grab the bass. It's harder with drums. I really want like a nice like electric drum set, but we're not there yet.
I would have to imagine they're expensive.
The one I want's like $5,000 to $7,000.
How is that for entry cost? So for a lot of the stuff that you're seeing, if you're watching this, I have 2 cameras, 2 lights, 2 mics. Like, these initial startup to get to this point, and it's still bad quality. And to get to this point is quite high. Like a camera, like some of these cameras are going to cost you $8,000 to $1,000. Take me through like everything it takes, because obviously guitars are expensive, but depending on what you're getting, obviously.
And especially compared to other musical instruments, the guitar is so cheap.
That's a good point.
It is so cheap.
Compared to drums, it's got to be cheap.
You can go down the rabbit hole, of course, and start getting like more pedals and getting a tube amp. But like, with the way technology is now, like I don't use like a traditional tube amp.
What's a tube amp?
So a tube
I want to pretend I know what it is, but I don't.
So literally, it is an amplifier that actually has like vacuum tubes in it, and that was the traditional way of powering guitar amps. And then it's moved to like more digital sounds in the 90s, and I used to have one. I had an Eddie Van Halen signature amp, and it was so loud I couldn't even turn it up all the way because you could still hear it. Like, I think it was like 5 blocks away, someone texted me from Downward Dog saying like, hey, I could hear your band from here. It's pretty sweet. And there's no reason for me to own something that loud, as much as I loved it.
Right.
Like, it just wasn't practical. So now I use modeling technology. So basically it simulates that in a box, and then I plug it into an amp that bypasses like the actual amp itself and just uses it as a speaker. And it's like, cool, now I get this tube amp sounding thing that's close enough, because I know no one in the crowd can tell the difference.
That's great. So one of the big things, especially with cameras and stuff, is they've come such a long way. Even you take new iPhones, they have the recording capabilities and they have the file management now to record ridiculously high quality stuff, so it's accessible for everyone. I hope it's like that with the music game.
Oh, 100%.
But what I want to ask is, there's definitely a point in anybody who's dealing with cameras, and I think I just came out of it, honestly, in the last like 6 months to a year, is that your gear, once you hit a certain point, buying new gear doesn't really do anything for you.
Yes.
Except make you feel good, because you realize once you're out of the beginner quality, you can make ridiculously nice looking things with very inexpensive gear if you know how to use it. Is that, please tell me that's true with the music. And I'm not talking about just this. I'm talking about software. I'm talking about like amps, anything else anything additional to that.
Yeah, 100%. Like, you don't need Logic Pro. You can get Reaper, which even gives you a free trial, and you could use it forever. They ask you pay
Is it
$60.
Is it like the WingRAR of?
Pretty much. They want the $60 donation or like to buy it, but you could literally just click out of it and keep making music on it. It comes with, you know, like compressor, gate, everything you need in like a digital audio workspace, aka a DAW, and a microphone. Get $100 SM57. Congratulations. Put a filter on it. You could sing into it. You can mic guitar amps with it. And even that, like, I like using my Sims. It's so much easier because I live in a 150 square foot studio. So
like a real musician.
Yeah. Yeah. So I just plug in the Scarlett Focusrite I got used. It's a interface that, you know, have to plug your microphone or just any other instrument into. So you could plug that straight into your computer. And what was it? Yeah, I got mine used for $40.
Damn.
And you don't need to church it up if you just, you know, if you know what to do. It takes time, but and especially with guitars, like you know Zach's pedal board. Like the space station. Like Zach, it's amazing, but it's just so much.
It looks really cool. I was doing B-roll for your concert.
Yeah, it does
fucking
look
cool.
For me, I want simplicity. You know, I just want to be able to like set it down. That's why I loved modeling technology, because I wouldn't even bring an amp. I'd just go straight in the sound system and, you know, it just go. And now you can model like vintage effects. That's what happened at the show.
Right.
I was modeling like an Echoplex, a Hall reverb, a gray flanger, and a phaser, literally recreating like Eddie Van Halen's rig just because I felt like it.
Yeah, I mean, and it sounded amazing. So I want to talk about that live concert because that was a really cool experience to be next to you and see and just be involved in. But the last question on this, when we're talking about like gear, when we're talking about that kind of stuff, is one of my questions, I think you might have answered some of it, was do you think the increased availability of digital stuff has helped you as an artist and music as a whole? Or do you think that, for example, way back when you know, you just kind of had an amp and somebody had a microphone, all that stuff, it was much more bare bones, if that provided artists to be more creative, all that good stuff? Like, where do you sit with the using the digital stuff or being like, I don't want to say authentic, but classic or vintage, I guess, is the way.
I genuinely don't care for keeping it vintage.
Nice.
Like,
which is interesting because you're such a disciple of Van Halen. Like, you care, you love and appreciate all that stuff.
100%. I have no problem using a click, but even then you could still turn the click off and just record straight into it and just have that, you know, flow of the song. Like, you can have more traditional methods and you can emulate it. Like, oh, you could put a tape reverb on there, or you can put tape emulation. Congratulations, now you actually have the sound of tape. And because the biggest problem is analysis paralysis, that there's just so many things, like in Logic, like what synth do I use? What effect do I use? Oh, there are like 5 compressors. But like, once you have an idea of what you want, like, it just made my life so much easier, because now I can make the sounds that I couldn't with just a guitar.
You mentioned a couple times already, like, the idea of what you want. How long did it take you to really find yourself in the music that you make? Because it's clear you have a lot of influences, but it is unique. And like I talked to Joe last week, comedians do it as well, where most comedians will say the first 4 to 6 years, I was just doing a blank and blank impression, and then I'd switch to a blank and blank impression. Is that true with musicians?
For me, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you see a problem with it?
I don't think there's a problem with it.
I don't think so either.
No. Like, because no matter what, you're going to sound like you. Your spin's going to be on it.
Yeah, you steal from one person, your plagiarism. You steal from multiple, you're an artist.
Yeah. And especially because, like, I went through my Van Halen phase, went through, like, the Weezer phase, went through the Blink phase, and recently, like, the indie phase, so a lot of, like, Boy Pablo or Hers. Which, you know, like, yeah, that's just kind of how it is. You get inspired by something, and then you just make it, and then that you put your own spin on it. So there's a lot of, or at least for me, a lot of diversity with the sounds that I make, just because my tastes change pretty rapidly these days, just because of the availability of music on Spotify.
Right.
Yeah.
So shifting gears a bit, which we could talk about like inspiration for a while.
Yeah.
But so on the opposite end of inspiration, getting into ruts. How are you with ruts? Are you somebody who, like, for example, as you can tell, I'm in the mode where every 2 months I will go from being incredibly productive and trying to start 18 different projects and do 30 different projects, and then I'll just not do anything for 2 months. So, for example, we filmed your music video. I filmed like 3 shorts in that week and all that stuff. And then I'll just take 3 months where I don't edit anything and I just don't do anything. Where are you with getting out of ruts? What's your workflow look like? Where do you find your time? Just take me through like that whole process for you.
It's hard because it does come in waves, like moments of inspiration. There are times where just like, oh, bam, here's a chord progression, here's a song, just write it out, here's the riff, ready to go. And then there are other times where, it just kind of lulls. And I think the biggest problem that I face is I just don't actually get around to recording the music itself. Like, we'll play it as a band with Makeshift Casual, but we had the same demo out since like 2018,
Yeah,
2019.
I was looking at your Spotify.
Yeah.
And I was like, 2017.
Yeah. No,
interesting.
And just because we have such different schedules and stuff,
You're adults.
Yeah, 3 of the
you're
guys
adults who aren't getting paid to be a band yet.
Yeah, and they're married, so it's just like, I understand. But at least like for me, when the iron is hot, like you got to strike. So we're inspired from the show. We're talking about writing more music. Zach is sending a song he had over to Jage.
Love it.
Chavy's pulling something out of the box. Gabe has an idea for a drum beat. Jage has lyrics, and now we're just gonna go for it while I feel good.
I couldn't agree with you more, and I'm super excited to see that stuff. I don't think I could be any more appreciative of your guys' like banding, everything that's going on with you guys. I'm very much in your guys' corner with all that.
Yeah, thanks.
But one of the big things is, and me and Hank kind of talked about it, are you somebody who waits for those moments of inspiration, and when they don't come, you might go through a dry spell? Or do you force it and say, I'm going to, for example, make a comic every single day? For me, it was make a podcast every single day. Are you somebody who thinks forcing it will help? Or are you, I'm just going to wait till I'm inspired?
I will force it, 100%.
How do you do it with music? Do you just sit down and you're like, that guitar is going to do something for me today?
Yeah. When I was in the Philippines, like, I recorded like 10 songs, and the only one I really liked was Basement Anthem. And going back and listening to the chords, I'm just like, oh man, this is fun. But like, I only really liked one. But now I have them all in reserve on my external hard drive. So when I feel inspired, go back and listen to it. You can always do something with it,
So you said go back. Not to bring Hank into this, I feel like he might be closer to me on this. Do you, when you make stuff, are you, this stuff's pretty good and this stuff's great? Or are you, everything I make fucking sucks and this one's all right?
I like to hype myself up. So I'm just like, all right, this thing's like the really good thing. I love this thing.
I wish I was you. Like
and
that.
When it comes to other stuff, like, I could be in the moment, I'll say this sucks. Or like even after the show, like, I was just like, man.
Right, you were so critical on yourself, I was like, dude, you fucking killed it.
But I mean, that's just how I am, and that's how I feel like I want to like push myself. And then when I go back and revisit it, like when you sent me the clip of us playing Ice Cream Man, I was like, oh wow, that sounded better after I reheard it. So just I know that it sounds all right. I'm really critical on myself, but when I find something that I really like, I will fall in love with it, flush it out, beat it to death, and not be sick of it. Like, I love what I create.
So we talk about the 2017 is the last thing Makeshift Casuals came out with. Obviously, we'll talk about Camp Nitro. So when you look back and you look back at it fondly.
Oh, 100%.
Oh, man.
Absolutely. Like, I know, like, the only thing was just, like, I think I layered Jage's vocals 4 times in one track, and people were like, that sounded weird. And I was like, sorry for being experimental.
Sure.
Did you guys help me record this and mix it? No, it was all me. So if you didn't say it back then, that's on you.
All right. Yeah, we're gonna. I want to dive into the concert. I want to dive into the music video, and then I want to dive into kind of the wrapping up, more like direct questions that I ask everybody.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
I want to break these up into 20-minute segments, mainly because my camera has a 30-minute limit on it.
Mm-hmm.
So let's take a break right now, and then we'll come back and we'll dive into that.
Yeah.
But dude, I'm excited about it.
Yeah, man.
Sweet. All right, and we're back. And we didn't get more drinks, but we did get snacks.
Yeah, man. I just tried hummus for the first time. That's so good.
How do you, somebody who loves food so much, how have you not tried hummus?
Creature of habit.
Oh yeah, are you somebody who, like, once you know what you like, you're just going to get that every single, like, every other day?
Born on National Pepperoni Pizza Day, I'll get pepperoni cheese, maybe supreme.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a lot more open now, but
yeah, I can't see you not being open to it, but nobody else is with you. You're by yourself. You're grabbing food. You're not gonna change up your order.
Old Faithful, 100%.
Yeah, one of the things that me and Bradley bonded on, so what ended up happening was I was working at a place, and then pandemic happened. I got a different job within this company, and they had to backfill my role. In comes Bradley to backfill it, and we got on well, but I wouldn't say that we became really good friends until after that rescue ended, and I was like, let's go grab a beer. Mm-hmm. We had a great talk, and then after that I was like, yeah, why don't I hang out with this dude more? And then after that it just rolled on. But the one thing that we did do and did agree on was those burritos.
100%.
Have I told you the bad news?
Yes.
When did I tell you? I told you on Monday, didn't I?
I haven't gone yet, but I told Isabel about it, and I've been mourning.
Yeah,
personally.
I'm very sad.
Yeah.
I reached out to my network and told them, and nobody was happy about it.
Yeah, man.
Maybe they'll see the errors of their ways and go back, or at least mix it, but we'll find a way. We'll find a way to make those burritos work.
Yeah.
But let's talk about, this is a good segue. We got burritos at the end of the night. Mm-hmm. When we hung out in Corvallis, the first time I was ever in Corvallis.
Yes. What'd you think?
The main reason I was there, of the burrito.
Or the experience.
The experience? I love the burrito. It was very, very good. I was actually like, yeah, no, this is an authentic place. This will be good, but it's like their college place, so I'm assuming it's going to be like our college place. It's average, but it's memory driven. Legitimately, it was a fucking tasty burrito. Mm-hmm. And then I had the other burrito that I'm talking about, the revised, our favorite burrito, but revised. And I was like missing Rivas. I was like, damn, I wish I could get that right now.
Yeah. I can't tell you how many times I've gone to Rivas. Hank, you've been there.
Yeah. Today also usually Bradley is our producer in the sense of he's behind the cameras, he's running the audio. Maybe we'll give him a mic one of these days besides today. But Hank, that's why I keep referring to Hank, because I see him in the room right now. And I'm going to keep referring to him.
Just a calming presence.
Yeah, much like how I talked about how Bradley makes me feel better about talking and looking at a camera in somebody's room that very few people are going to listen to. I just feel a lot better with Hank in the room. I feel a lot better with Bradley in the room. So this is a nice crew. But that being said, I had this whole crew in Corvallis, and that was very cool to like get a peek into your guys' life. Mm-hmm. Of course, there was like a lot of me. I don't know as many people as you guys do there, as in I know only like you two and Chris and some other people. So you had to do your own thing, but it gave me a lot of time to just observe. Mm-hmm. And it was very cool to see your guys' college life and all your friends and all that stuff. And then the concert, of course, was amazing. I don't know what I was expecting, to be honest with you. Mm-hmm. But when you have friends that do creative stuff, I'm going to support them regardless. But you kind of have this thing in the back of your mind where you go, even if you're not good, I'm going to support you and be like, fuck yeah, keep doing your thing. But it's always a huge relief when that friend is actually legitimately talented. And actually legitimately, even if they're not legitimately talented, stupid fun.
I noticed that your audio, like the level isn't going as high as Brad's.
It's fine.
Now. Okay.
Yeah, you can turn mine up a little bit if you want. It wouldn't be a podcast without technical issues. So
exactly.
The one thing I was saying is with friends who do creative stuff, you want them to be great. And even if they're not and they're working on it and there's passion there, you're going to support them regardless. But it's always really, really satisfying when you have a friend who says, "Oh, I play guitar. I'm in a band," and you're like, "Oh, cool!" And then you go and you see them live, or you hear them play, and they're legitimately talented. And the biggest thing for me is not only were you very talented, I don't think that was ever really in question. You could always play guitar. There's a lot of people who can play guitar really, really well.
Mm-hmm.
You not only played guitar well, but you had a lot of fun doing it.
Absolutely. You gotta love doing it.
And you didn't take it seriously, and it was just fun. Like, it was pure and fun. And then also knowing you as a person and seeing, it's also interesting because we're friends, but we start as coworkers. So you see this, like, you see different sides of people. You see the coworker Bradley, then you see, grabbing a beer after work Bradley, that we're still working together. Then you see like actual friend Bradley, and then you see Bradley in his fucking element. And that was at the concert, and it was really cool to see a friend do the thing that he's the best at and that he's passionate about. And that's kind of what I got from that. I learned a lot from my video side of it. I don't want to talk about that. This is about you. That concert was super fun because I got to see you in your most pure Bradley form.
It was so interesting. I didn't realize, like people point out, like, you smile a lot when you play. And I was just like, I do?
Yeah, because you're not a naturally super smiler. You're a super positive person, fun person, but you're not a huge smiler.
Yeah, not at all.
You're like me. Yeah.
Got a weird tooth. Never got braces.
Oh yeah, are you self-conscious about your teeth?
I don't care, but I just like.
Were you self-conscious as a kid, and then like now people are like, why?
I feel like more now because Isabel, my fiance, love you, honey. She loves her teeth, so she takes immaculate care of them, and I'm just like, oh wow.
Yeah.
Yikes.
So you're just comparing. You have great teeth. Like, it's not not concerned. I think I have terrible teeth because I was made fun of it as a kid. Let's not get into that. But let's go back to the pure thing of the concert. So you were saying that when you were there, you were noticing.
Or I didn't notice while
you
while
didn't
it's
notice
happening.
you were smiling.
Because
Yeah.
what happens, like, I entered, like, I just kind of like black out. I just kind of phase out, and it happens, and I have vague recollections of what happened. Like, it's starting to come back to me still.
Right.
Like, even when I was texting Chavy today, I was like, oh, I forgot this happened. It's so weird. But when people say, like, oh, you're smiling a lot, I'm like, really? Yeah. Like, it's so, it really is surprising. Because I know, like, yeah, I had fun.
Right.
But, like, I just didn't think I smiled that much.
Interesting. So something I was talking about, I do another podcast with my bud Parker. We were talking about going into moments of flow and then like real pure moments of like in the zone where, I don't know about you, but I analyze everything. I'm overthinking everything. But there are moments of like pure flow, pure like euphoria where you're not thinking, you're just being. Mm-hmm. Is that what a concert is for you?
Yes.
And then how do you analyze getting better at performing if that's how it is every time?
Honestly, with like videos, like when I streamed the last show, I listened to it over and over again. I'm like, this is where I made a mistake. Yikes, here's what I can do. Mm-hmm. And in my head I have like a running total of like where I messed up to, even when I'm in the flow state.
That's crazy, because when you said to me I messed up 17 times.
17.
I went, oh, did you count? And thinking you would be like, no, I just think it's like around that. No.
I counted.
How?
I'm really critical, man.
Yeah.
As much as I seem like a chill dude, when it comes to like that thing, I can't get it out of my head.
So being critical, how do you make the next step? Like, how do you elevate your game? Do you have a roadmap, or are you just like, I'm going to keep doing my thing, hopefully people like it?
Are you talking about when it comes to making mistakes, or like making the music itself?
Making music, being better at performing, like even growing your audience, I guess.
One, I'm not good at growing the audience. That's why we only have 100 followers on Instagram. And when it comes to music, like, I don't feel like I necessarily get better. A lot of the stuff I wrote before is just as good as the stuff I write now.
Yeah.
It's mainly just a practice thing, being dedicated and sitting down and just playing what I wrote over and over again. Because like, even then, if you write it, that doesn't mean you're good at it.
Yeah.
I still make mistakes on Hardened, and it drives me insane.
Yeah,
But
it's one of your oldest songs.
yeah.
So now getting into some of the questions that I'm probably going to ask most people on this podcast, but for some reason, at least for the people who I have lined up and the people who I've interviewed before, it's not that I know their answers, it's that I think they're more aligned. I'm very interested. What would it take you to quit your job and just pursue music?
Realistically, if I made anywhere from 60 to 80K.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, if I just made like a normal living wage from doing music, I would do it in a heartbeat.
What about slash adding half? You gotta live bare bones. Obviously, you have a wedding. I'm talking about like Bradley as a person. I know it's you. You have a life that you're building with somebody else. And I'm not trying to diminish that at all. I'm just looking at you as an artist.
If it like theoretically, if it was just me,
yeah,
I've already done that. Yeah, 100%.
Take me through Take me through You've already done that. Tell me about it.
Yeah. So one time I squatted in the dorms for 2 terms and just slept in someone's bed who wasn't there. And
was that for education or was that for music? College experience.
I did spend a lot more money on guitar stuff. Yeah, because with that money saved, that's how I got the Queen. So I'll tie it into that.
Okay, no, that's actually real.
Yeah.
So yeah, basically my question is, what would you go through to make music your full-time career?
Man, what would I go through? Like, I just haven't gone through like the proper process of even recording a proper album yet. I'd have to do that first.
Yeah, I mean, you're still young in that sense.
Yeah, and honestly, like that's what I need to do first. And once I get a feel for that, like I feel like I'd be able to get better at it.
I kind of feel like that question is a hard one to answer nowadays, because back then it was, well, I'd go on tour, I'd slave away, but now with the digital age, if you get a song that pops, even if you just get a song that gets popular on TikTok, you can start making money tomorrow. You could start making money tomorrow on a song that you made 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Right?
Royalties are great.
Yeah. How is it growing an audience? Do you want, or I guess here's the question I'm leading into. Do you want, if you could keep the following you have now, or get 1 million followers overnight, you know they're coming tomorrow. Doesn't mean they all stay. It means when they look at your content, they could unfollow, or they could, not support you anymore, all that stuff. Would you take it?
Yes.
Interesting. Do you think you deserve 1 million followers right now?
Yes.
I like it. Why?
I think we're
I like
dope.
the confidence.
Here's as critical as I am on myself and maybe other members of the band, sorry guys, I know I could be a pain. I do believe that we are good.
Yeah.
And I know just the fact that one person has told me like, hey, your song got me through a rough time. It means the world to me. It can do that for more people. I endorse what we do.
So at this point, you're looking at it. Obviously, you want to make more music, and your discography is not super huge and all that stuff. But at this point, you're looking at it saying, it just needs to be listened to by more people.
Yes.
The quality is there. It just needs to be listened to.
Yes.
Interesting. So what's the game plan then?
Record the album.
Yeah. Record the album. See what happens.
Yeah. Take the songs from the EP, church them up. Throw in some new ones. We got, I'm pretty sure 3, maybe even 4 in the bank. Take some of the newer stuff, like the more ambient things. Tie it in, because I know how albums work, and I love like how albums could be like a film. Like it starts off hard hitting and exciting in the beginning, and then in the middle we can have like that filler where it lulls. You want to see where it goes, and that more dramatic change. Like no one wants an album that just sounds the same. Like you want it to. We were
talking about that off air. How if everything sounds the same, it's not worth listening to. You want to tell a story.
Yeah,
Some of the best albums I've ever listened to, which I'm actually interested in from you, like best albums ever, are all storytelling albums. For me, it's because of the internet. I mean, with all the storytelling elements that go along with it, I think it's almost a perfect album.
Mm-hmm.
In your opinion, this is going to be my question. In your opinion, what is a perfect album? And then answer, what is the perfect album made by you, and what does it look like in the future?
The greatest album, like, ever?
In your opinion, yeah.
In my opinion.
And it changes from day to day, I would assume.
No, I have my favorites.
Don't hold back.
The one I will, like, excluding Van Halen stuff, just because it's too easy.
Sure.
And they're not perfect by any means. I actually find a lot of flaws in them, coincidentally. The one I will always find myself going back to is, or two of them that are absolutely tied, The Wall by Pink Floyd.
Yep.
And Pinkerton by Weezer.
Talking about that off air.
Yep.
Yeah. So what is the perfect album? I mean, we can talk about those albums. That could be its own podcast. We could talk about just Weezer for 3 hours.
Yes.
But I want to focus more on what is the perfect album, and what kind of, ingredients do you need to make that perfect album?
I do have one more. The John Mayer live album.
I haven't listened to it, but I've heard it's amazing.
Live at the Nokia Theater.
I think maybe you referenced it. Somebody referenced it to me and said,
Yeah,
I don't care if you like John Mayer. You're going to like this album.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I said that at some point.
Right, yeah.
Because it's acoustic in the beginning, then it's a 3-piece blues, and then it's like his newer popular stuff. Like, it is phenomenal. Desert Island album for me.
Oh, yeah?
100%.
Love it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you want me to reword the question now?
Yes, please.
No, but I love those answers. And the only reason I'm not diving into those more is because that can be its own thing.
Yes, 100%.
And we can just dive into music and inspiration, all that stuff. But we're here to highlight you. The perfect album made by you or your band, what ingredients do you need to make that perfect album?
Well, from an instrument standpoint, drums, bass, guitar, and vocals.
Thank you.
Yeah. And to make it perfect, like, it just has to reflect us.
Right.
And something that I struggled with was I found so much of my identity in a band that I wanted it to be just me. And that's not how a band works.
Right.
And now it's just like, we need the songs from Zach. We need more of Chafee. We need more Gabe. And we need more writing that isn't just JJ's lyrics. Like, it's everybody. And throughout the years, just playing together more, it's just like watching everybody grow as musicians and songwriters. Like, I want that. I want to see them elevated and highlighted.
Right.
That's the perfect album is just being us represented and being able to be like, all right, that's not Brad's thing, that's their thing.
Right. Instead of having basically a front man who does the majority of it, and it's, Marky Mark and then the Funky Bunch. It's the whole thing.
It's
right?
the whole thing.
But I do want to dive into the front man thing. Do you want to be the front man? I think you look so comfortable doing it, and you're so enjoyable doing it that I could see you really loving it. Talk to me about being a front man. Do you want to be a front man? How does your ego handle being a front man?
I don't love my voice. I don't think I'm a good singer. I would rather not be a frontman. I'd rather just play the guitar, sit in the background, and be like, just do my solos to stand out.
Yeah.
I would much rather do that because I know JJ, my Jage, is just so much better at singing. I'd rather just be able to do the thing that I love and play guitar.
Was it easy for you to say that and take a back seat, or say you want to take a back seat with the guitar because you're like, guitar's my thing? Or was there ever a part of you, your ego mostly, where you're like, I want to be the frontman, I want to sing?
That's why I started a solo project. So I could dabble and do it.
So you can feed both of those desires at the same time.
That's literally the point of a side project, just to get that fill of what you're not getting. And after doing it, I'm like, honestly, I do prefer playing guitar in this band exponentially more than being a solo artist. Will I still make solo songs? Yeah, 100%.
Why not?
Because it gives me time to experiment and find out like where I'm heading musically.
Yeah.
But realistically, I'd rather be a guitarist in a band. But that's also different because like I feel like I'm kind of like the hype man for the band.
Mm-hmm.
Because
No, you're exactly correct.
with Jage, like he's the singer, but I don't know. I feel like I just watched so much Van Halen. It's just easy for me to banter with the crowd, go on stories and tangents.
Right. Blink-182 does it a lot too.
Yes.
I love it.
Yeah, they're great at it.
Yeah. I mean, because half the time on tour, one of their voices is fucked.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just inevitable but they put on such a show
Yes.
that it doesn't matter that Mark Hoppus can barely talk.
It's all about the energy.
Yeah.
And I know that I can give that energy. I don't remember it, but I know that I felt a certain way because it's like coming down off a high. I know I'm crashing, so that means I was in some sort of elevated state where I was giving it my all. Do I know anything else besides that? No, but I know like I put energy towards that, and I do enjoy doing that. But as a singer, no. But as like a hype man, yes.
Interesting.
Very unorthodox for a band because usually that's like the singer's job.
Yeah. Right. So one of the other questions I like to ask everybody is, where do you find time to make music? It seemingly is like it's always happening in your head. It's just when you write it down is when you're doing it. But it's always interesting, especially as adults. We have full-time jobs. You have, a girlfriend or fiance now, and you have a lot of other life to do. How do you find time? And you talk about some of your other bandmates and everything like that. So one of the quotes, and this does not apply to you at all, but it applies to the question, is Miles Teller in the movie Whiplash.
Love that movie.
Oh my God, it's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
One of the funniest, not funniest scenes, it's kind of heartbreaking, is he talks to the girl. He says, I want to be one of the greatest, and I can't do that and date you. And that kind of really illustrates like where he sets his time at. How do you find time to make your art, make your music?
You make it.
Yeah. You force yourself? Do you stay up late?
Yes.
Where do you find your time? Are you an organized person?
No. Not in the slightest. My room is a mess.
Dude, it's only
terrible.
150 square feet. How do you...
Well, that's the thing. It's so small. It just gets messy quick.
Yeah, I guess that's
And the
true. It gets
motivation.
right in your face.
And if nobody's coming over, then it's just... There's no incentive to clean it. I still know where everything is.
So I'm going to keep hounding you on the time thing. Where do you find the time? For me, I have so much time. I want to say that I don't, and I'm so busy. But I don't. I spend half my day on my fucking phone. And then I play video games and all that stuff, which is fun with other friends, but blah, blah, blah. I waste a lot of time, and then I can't get myself to actually do my thing that I actually enjoy doing. How do you manage your time? Is it a struggle for you?
No. I just do it.
I hate you. Like, that's what I wish.
When you
happens for
love
me.
something, you put time into it. I love my fiance. I spend time with her. I love the guitar. I will play it. I will write music. I will think about it while I'm at work, while I'm somewhere. The process doesn't stop. Like, you just keep thinking about it. You can't get it out of your head. Like, I will have something in my head, and I'm like, when I get home, I'm going to take that hummed note into my phone and figure it out on the guitar. And that's how it works. Like, you just...
Okay. So
if you love it, then you make the time for it. And for me, that's just like, when that time is available, can it be scarce? Yeah, it's like, oh, I got like church on Sunday and a church group on Wednesday and hanging out with this person on Monday. But in that, how many hours in a week? Like 540 something? Like, out of all of that time, how can you not find something to do the thing that you love? When we spend so much time, it's like, I still spend, I think it was like, I looked at my phone stats. I stream like Netflix, Hulu, HBO, and Disney for an average of, I think it was like 7.1 something hours a day. And even in those moments, I still think about the guitar and I still practice while it's going on. Like,
Yeah.
I can't stop it
I
at this
love that.
point. It just happens. It's
love
really
it.
fun.
Yeah.
And there are moments where, frankly, I'm not recording and I lose it, which has happened so many times, and I just kick myself. That's my biggest thing. But when it comes to playing, I play.
I love that.
I don't stop.
So-
It's great.
All right. So we have a couple minutes before we're going to take a small break, and then we'll ask you the last question. But before that, I'm very jealous. So, like, from the very pure thing, like, of why you play guitar, it's you love guitar. Like, it's so pure that you love guitar.
I love it.
From me, and this is kind of explains why I do knowing me, at least the little bit that you've learned, I do a whole bunch of random stuff. Not random stuff, but there's a lot that I do. So my whole thing is, your whole thing, centralized guitar. My whole thing is making people happy, appeasing people. But it all essentially comes down to, if I go even deeper than that, is I want approval from people. I want people to think the things I'm doing are good, cool. But in the real pure thing is, I want people to be happy. I want them to laugh. I want them to enjoy something. So for me, I have to use all these other things to do that, and I just don't have that motivation to just do it all the time. And that is what I'm so jealous of, and that's something that is so, it comes through you, and it's inspiring. And it's one of those things, and me and Hank talked about it, it's why when you're just in the room, you're not talking, you're just here, you give this energy of, we should be doing the things that we're passionate about, because it seemingly is all you do. Was that always the case for you? Or did it take a minute to be like, oh, maybe I'm, cynical right now, and then I had to realize, like, oh, this is what I love, and now I'm going to do it? You have a minute.
Yeah. Realistically, there was a point where I thought I was going to quit. And it was hard because Bombs Away Cafe never responded to me. I'm like, wow, I spent all this time playing backyard shows, writing these songs, playing coffee shops, doing things at Oregon State. But then it was just an email miscommunication, and they thought I requested a different date. And they're like, we love you guys. Like, yeah, come through. And I just realized how dumb I was for wanting to stop the thing that I love.
So you thinking, oh, maybe I'll quit, actually fueled you to be like, dude, I will never quit.
Not until I die.
I love that. That's a great answer. All right, we're going to be right back. I'll ask you the final question. We'll get the fuck out of here. Welcome back. I was going to do I'm not going to do the voice. As you can see, our drinks are now gone, and we're getting better at this as we go.
Yes.
But I'm going to ask Bradley 3 questions. I will remember only 2 of them. Mm-hmm. And we're going to start with, do you ever get imposter syndrome? Whether it be at a concert, maybe at band practice, maybe when you tell people you're a musician. Do you tell people you're a musician?
Yes.
Cool. I love it.
Yeah, 100%.
Does it make you feel cool when you say it?
And it doesn't make me feel cool. I just want people to know. What if they're like, hey, I'm in a band, like, let's jam, or like, hey, let's do a gig together. That's how I got.
Is that purely how you really feel? Because, like,
I would introduce myself, hi, I'm Brad, I play the guitar, and that's how I formed my first band, just by asking people if they play an instrument.
But I'm talking about, like, does it stroke your ego? Where is your ego? Because I've been trying to dive at it a little bit, but, like, where is your ego in the sense of, when I tell people, oh, for example, especially not around Portland, it's a huge ego trip. I would love it when people go, what do you do for a living? I go, I'm a video editor for Nike. Yeah, it strokes my ego huge. Musician, that's the childhood, I'm the fucking coolest kid, I'm a musician.
Because I am the coolest kid, I'm a musician.
But, okay, so it does.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Okay, because the first answer, you're like, no, I'm pure, like, that's who I am. And, like, I'm
but
not
the
saying
ego
you're
is
wrong.
still a part of me, too.
Okay, yeah.
And
so, looking at the ego, imposter syndrome, telling people you're a musician.
Like, and it's hard because, like, when it comes to, like, church stuff, I don't want to seem, like, prideful, because, like, they're just like, oh, man, that's not good to have that much pride in your heart. But at the same time, I feel like I have the utmost confidence in what I do just because I believe in myself. And if I believe in myself, how can I not hype myself up? Like,
Yeah, I'm jealous.
It's
Because I do have to do that. So here's my thing. I do that when I start projects, and then when they're going, and then I look at it, I'm like, this isn't as good as I thought it was going to be, because I thought, oh, it's going to be amazing, it's going to be perfect, and then it just doesn't end up being that good. How are you like that throughout the whole process? Are you just confident throughout the whole process?
No.
Good.
No.
Thank God. So you are human.
Well, Matt, like, when I mean, I told you, like, I still have those projects that I look at, I'm just like, this is terrible. Or after the show, I'm like, that was bad, you know? Like, like, I'm human. I have those moments, but, like, in the grand scheme of things, like, yeah, I do believe in myself.
So you don't get imposter syndrome. Like, when you're on stage, you don't go, oh, maybe I shouldn't be here.
No.
You don't even have that thought for a second.
Never.
You go, this is where I should be.
That is where I should be.
Fuck yeah. And that explains exactly the blackout, all of that stuff.
Yeah.
So now I am going to, there's got to be, what's the worst project you've ever made that you've put out to the public? So a lot of this is going to be like getting a following, all that stuff. So like you put it out, reception terrible.
I had a worse show.
Okay.
And it was so bad that I decided to break up the band and then form a new one with the same members with a different singer. I'm so sorry, Matt.
Was it, at the time, did you blame other people? And then how do you view it in the moment, like in the heat of the moment with the passion? There was probably a lot of passion in there.
At the moment, I thought it was everybody else.
But you?
Yes.
How do you view it now?
A little bit could have been me, but just given the circumstances, I have to be more forgiving. Like, like they just came off a shift. Chafee just stayed up all night because he was a graveyard janitor. And, you know, our drummer at the time was still in high school, and he's just like, oh, it's the end of the term, so many tests, you know, and it happens, you know. Sometimes you just have a bad time, but I reacted so poorly. I was just like, it's over. And then just reformed it with JJ.
Sure.
But I mean,
diving into that even a little bit more.
That's where the ego comes in, by the way.
Yeah. Thinking about things like that, I wouldn't say that's like a trauma or anything like that, but it's a moment that is a hard part in your life, hard part in the band's life, all that stuff. Where do you take moments that are really hard in your life and turn them into art? Or are you, I'd rather keep it positive?
No, I channel all the feelings into the art.
Mm-hmm.
Like, something so dumb that you'll probably laugh. There is a thing called Garden Party, and it is basically like a thing where you get an invite from this girl's house, and you take this girl out on a date, basically. It's basically prom, but for college students. And there was this girl I was crushing on. And
I think Hippie City Magic, I think that band. You know that band? They came out with an
sounds
album.
familiar, yeah.
They came out with an album called Garden Party.
Nice.
Like yesterday.
That's dope.
Yeah, anyways.
So, like, they're dropping off the invitations, and I ran to my mailbox, and I saw there's a letter in there, and I opened it up. It was a $30 fine for having negative money for my bank. And struggling musician, am I right?
Check those boxes, son.
100%. And I was just like, man, I thought I was going to go with her. And I was just like, I need to play guitar right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I sat down and I played. I was listening to a lot of Blink at the time. And that is how the riff for Hardened came out.
Love it.
And because you said you liked that song, right?
Yeah, it's probably my favorite song, favorite original song. Besides, I'm obviously biased towards Basement Anthem. But favorite song live that I heard, for sure.
And a lot of people love Hardened, and I don't think it's like, I think like, yeah, that situation was dumb because I was a young, like, was it 19-year-old that just had a crush, but that negative feeling turned into something that people love now.
Right, and you look at comedians and you look at musicians especially, something happens in their life and it can almost instantly be channeled into music. Whether it's good or bad is another question. But one of the things I'm really interested in, not to alley-oop into other non-you interviews, is people who do like ceramics or people who do more interpretive stuff. I wonder if that's similar for them, because for you can write a song, but have you ever done it more abstract where like this guitar riff is my feelings towards a situation?
Yes.
Do you have one like in mind? But is that Harding one probably the best example of it?
I mean, even a second song of the set, More Than Life.
Mm.
It's a happy chord progression, but what happened in that day was just, it wasn't great. Like, I talked about it on your old podcast. I had a thing with a girl. It didn't end well. And I saw an Instagram picture of her looking happy while I was stuck in class. And I also got a flat tire. And by all means, I should have been down. But I was just like, I got to do something with that. I can use that.
Mm-hmm.
And I sat down with Jage, and that whole second verse, it's just what happened in my day. I got a flat on the highway, but the sun just told me, I'll be okay, because all the rain in the world from every cloud from your will won't bring me down on this morality play. Do I understand what that means? Not really, because Jage, took what I was, literally my situation and put it into words, but, you have to use anything that you feel. You don't have to use everything, but if you feel it, you use it.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I love that. It's very poetic. The song and what you just said. So we're going to finish up, but there's a question before the last question. As I said, I was only asking 3. I asked 5. If you got to choose your level of fame, where would you want to be? Absolutely rock star, biggest thing where you can't even walk outside of your own house because everybody's going to swarm you. Everybody knows who you are. Or would you rather be kind of like cult classic, cult favorite, kind of famous?
I want to be famous.
How famous?
I want to be a rock star. I would want people to know me. I want people to be like, here's the new Makeshift Casual song. That's been a dream since I was a kid. That hasn't changed. I am fine with it. How would my future wife act around in that situation? That might probably have some influence, but if we're speaking from a pure me perspective, I still want to be a rock star. I still want people to know my name. I want to be a household name. I want endorsements. I want my name in lights. I want to play in front of thousands of people screaming my song.
So the final question is, do you think you're going to make it? And tell me more about it rather than I want to assume a yes.
Yes. I've been thinking and dreaming about this since I was a kid. My parents, this is the one thing they're like, hey, you're actually pretty good at this. If you make it, that's great. I think it helped that they were actually believing in me.
So they're supportive. So
yeah.
Tell me about everybody around you. Would you, if you took a poll from your friends, family, fiance, and they had to go yes or no, will Bradley make it as a popular musician? What do you think everybody's responses would be? Because from you, it's a resounding yes, crossing out no's.
I think so.
Yeah.
Am I the best guitarist? No. Are we the best musicians? No. Do you have to be to make good music? No. Absolutely not. Anyone can make it, so why can't I? And I genuinely think just because, hey, one person loved it, that means if it was available to the masses, more people would love it.
Yeah.
I stand by it.
I love that. So the other thing is, where can we find you? Where can we listen to you?
You can find us on Spotify, Makeshift Casual, Cam Nitro on Spotify, YouTube. If you want to check out the Makeshift Casual live clips, that's why they're there.
Those will be coming out probably the same time this is.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe before.
Yeah, whatever comes, man. You can find it on there. I like to post stuff to my personal Instagram, bradley.heathman.
So we can find you. And this will all be posted everywhere, obviously.
Yeah.
I also have the pleasure of, getting to record your live shows, getting to record your first music video.
Yeah, for real. Thank you.
And I'm so excited to do more. So, yeah, I'm super invested in this band. I'm super invested in you. And I'm super excited to see this next year. I'm super excited to see everything after it. But thank you so much for being here. And also just being at every podcast so far and just being a friend and having the energy you have. Because it makes everything around me better when you're around. And I appreciate that.
And I appreciate your energy too, man. That's why I love doing this. Not only do I get to take like the other side of what I love, which is just like messing around with sounds, like, and it actually gets to help out a friend who helps me. It's a gift that literally keeps on giving.
It's what this podcast is all about.
Yeah.
My goal with this podcast is to form a community so that if you go, hey, I need somebody who knows how to do lighting. We have somebody who's a lighting person. I need somebody to do doodles on the website we're going to be making. Hey, we got a Hank. Maybe even a Chris who can help with that too, right? Somebody who can do sound, you. Molly who can do photography, do you. Like, this is the reason I'm making it. Not just to make something for myself. I want to make something for everybody that we can all utilize and have fun doing it. Because if we're not having fun, I don't want to be doing it.
Exactly.
And that's kind of, I think that is a beautiful little headline for Bradley. If you're not going to have fun, you're not going to do your passion, just don't do it.
Exactly.
So thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Cool. We're done. We're done. We're out of here. We're good. Yes, that too.